All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. It's do or die time with playoff berths up for grabs. We'll get you set for the occasion with our Week 14 primer episode, where we'll give out our top 6 sleeper starts with matchups to exploit. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, back from Thanksgiving break with the one and only Derek Brown. D-Bro, how are you heading into the last week of the fantasy football regular season? And has the fam gotten up the Christmas tree yet?
Oh, dude, we had the Christmas tree put up. Thanksgiving was a feast,
I knew it.
Dude. My wife and I were cooking all day, and we told the kids, like, earlier in the week, and we kind of forgot about it, but, like, we got to the point where, like, oh, we're putting up the tree the same day. We put up our tree on Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving Day, and so the kids, like, we got down, we were sitting down, I was, like, watching football, and I was kind of just taking a second just to be, and the kids were like, hey, so when are we putting up the tree? And I was like, oh, crap, we did say that. All right, come. Let me get in the attic. Boxes are coming down. Let's get it. But yeah, dude. So Thanksgiving was putting up the tree, getting ready for Christmas, and having Thanksgiving all in one day, dude. We're ready to go. What about you? Have you got the tree up yet?
Not quite yet. Usually it is the day after Thanksgiving type of situation where the fiance is like, hey, go get the Christmas pins from the basement. Let's start doing this. But we were doing a little traveling from her family to my family. I was out hunting over the weekend as well. So no success so far on the tree. Over under 5 totes for your family. How many you guys ripping out for Christmas?
Oh, jeez. 1, 2, 6, 7.
Okay,
there?
so the over. So we're taking the over.
Yeah,
then.
we're taking the over. The over is, minus money.
I think we're about at like 3 now, but we're still pretty like young into home ownership and
dude,
like having your own decoration. So
we've got ornaments from my wife, because my wife and I have been together since high school. We've got ornaments all the way back from like 20 years ago, plus all the stuff the kids have made, plus things we have. And then it's like, then it's going down memory lane. Like every ornament every year comes out and everybody's like, oh, look at this. Oh, let me tell you the story about this one. Yeah. So it's all production, dude. All production.
Do you get out on the ladder outside with the staple gun and start putting the lights in the side?
No. I am not a Christmas lights guy. We have a 2-story house. I told my wife when we got this house, I was like, you will not see me. I'm not Santa Clausing this thing. I'm not falling off the freaking roof. So no, we put stuff in the front yard. I will put lights in the bushes. You will not see my bald head on a freaking giant ladder 2 stories up, falling off and breaking my collarbone or some crap. Doesn't happen. Nope.
I was getting my sea legs under me. I was putting up the Starlink last weekend, and I was like, okay, I think I have a pretty good like lay of the land now. I think next year we're going to try to do lights. I think I'm going to do those ones you can leave in all year round, right? So you can do like 4th of July lights and Halloween lights and things like that. I think that's the play where you just do it once. Make
sure the insurance and the life insurance is current before you hop up there on the roof.
Good point.
Just saying.
Good point. I do have an old Steelers helmet somewhere in the closet, so maybe I'll pull that out, make sure that we're protected, and we're going down swinging, baby.
Rolls of bubble wrap.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Before we jump into things, folks, shout out to everyone who's joining us either on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel or the audio feed. Thank you so much for all the support this season. We really appreciate it. Please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you're new. Help us get to 300,000 subscribers by the end of the season. We get all the fantasy football takes, all the Christmas decorating tips you need as well. And also, if you want a chance to win a signed Bijan Robinson and Drake London autograph mini helmet for free, that's right, a 2-for-1 special, folks, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com. All you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either A, go ahead and download that free Fantasy Pros app, B, leave a review for the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast, or C, follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok. We are at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you're going to receive, and we will announce a winner right here on the podcast near the beginning of next month. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you ring the bell so you can be alerted when we have new shows up and to claim your prize if you are that one lucky winner. And Derek, speaking of being lucky and winning, we need some sleeper stars to help get us into the fantasy football playoffs. And at the quarterback position, you're rolling out someone I am also rolling out in my league of record this weekend.
Oh, yeah, man. Like whether it's deep leagues or you have Drake May on a bye or Brock Purdy, any one of these quarterbacks that are on a bye this week, you need to consider Tyrod Taylor. And just foreshadowing here, I did want to include, we got 2 quarterbacks on the list this week because I think it's real, man. Like, people having Drake May in so many leagues and not having him this week, as well as like Jackson Dart and what have you. Like, that's a real thing. So we wanted to give options for the quarterbacks this week, and Tyrod Taylor is firmly in play, man. QB 19 in ECR, just had his second QB1 weekly finish of the season last week. You know you're getting rushing equity out of Tyrod. If he scores just a rushing touchdown, he probably is a QB1 just automatically. But also the matchup is fantastic, Seth. Like Miami, you still can't pass with a lot of success against them. Like since week 9, they're giving up the 12th most yards per attempt, 12th most passing yards per game. So Tyrod, if he finishes as a QB1 again this week, I will not be surprised, sir.
Dude, I'm here for it, right? I mean, I always like to kind of fade the Dolphins in these December colder spots. They're coming up north to MetLife. So I really like what Tyrod's been doing, right? I mean, he's finally made something out of John Mechie and A.D. Mitchell, two players that we've been just like clamoring for at least a couple years now in the fantasy football realm, and he's getting the most out of them. Breece Hall's been moving the sticks, and what I like about Miami specifically, some of this is the matchups they've had to deal with, but also over the last month alone, they're allowing the third most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks per game. Tyrod Taylor, 44 rushing yards last week, and then also back in his week 3 start when Justin Fields was sidelined with injury, 8 for 48. So 2 out of 3 weeks, he's been good on the ground. So I'm willing to roll him out. Like, are you more excited to play someone like Tyrod Taylor than, let's say, like Sam Darnold?
I think it's a real conversation. And just to give context, I would play Tyrod Taylor or the next quarterback that we're going to talk about this week over players like Tua, even Caleb Williams. Justin Herbert probably too.
Okay.
There's a conversation to be had even about Trevor Lawrence, even though he's been playing better, and even Sam Darnold.
Okay.
So I think all these guys are in that kind of like Tyrod and the next quarterback we're going to talk about here are both in that bucket of like borderline QB1s, and it depends on your matchup and how you want to splice it up.
Okay, let's go to that second quarterback. And would you rather play them over Tyrod Taylor this week?
I would rather play Tyrod over C.J. Stroud, but I love C.J. Stroud this week.
Okay.
I really do, man. And I think, you know, if you look at the season-long stats and all that kind of stuff, are you painting a rosy picture for C.J. Stroud? No. But the reality of it is, you cannot run the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs. So if the Houston Texans want to get points on the board, they want to move the ball down the field, they're going to have to freaking throw it. And you could do that with a lot of success versus Kansas City. Since week 9, they're giving up the 6th highest yards per attempt, the 5th most passing yards per game, and the 4th highest success rate per dropback. And the other thing about it is we know that CJ Stroud, can things kind of get wonky whenever he has pressure in his face and the pocket breaks down? Sure. Well, KC since week 9, 13th lowest pressure rate. So he should enjoy clean pockets. Patty Mahomes is going to push them on the other side. Do I think that KC comes out and scores 30 points against that defense? No, but Houston is going to be pushed to put up points in this game. And if the Texas defense can get home, maybe we're talking about some short fields for Stroud and that offense, dude.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the game logs recently against the Chiefs. We just had Dak Prescott on Thanksgiving night, 320 passing yards, also went for 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones, a little bit limited in the passing yard department, but still found the end zone twice. It was even a pretty good day for Josh Allen on the ground when he faced the Chiefs last month in November.
Bo Nix had a good game versus them, just didn't get the touchdowns, but he had a good game too.
295, yeah. So it's been really solid, honestly, all the way around. The only issue I think I have with CJ Stroud, I actually had to make this decision. I originally picked up Stroud this week, and then I went back for Taylor and actually dumped Stroud for Taylor. I'm just worried, does this maybe turn into a dogfight, you think? And Kansas City can't score, and maybe the Texans are content with maybe putting 20 points on and, just keeping this total low.
I mean, that's possible. The other side of that is considering KC's run defense, if they even put up 20 points, you're saying basically
Good point.
They have 2 touchdowns. If both of those come through the air and not on the ground, so CJ Stroud throws for multiple touchdowns, and then we're just having a conversation about yardage.
Okay. Fair enough. Derek, let's go to your running back sleeper star of the week. Who do you have, my friend?
Well, dude, I think that you can attack this from multiple angles, whether it's efficiency, whether it's role, whether it's matchup. And I think the narrative coming out of Los Angeles is real. I do think that they want to incorporate Blake Corum. Talked about this in the offseason. Yes, was I wrong on Jarquez Hunter? Sure. But that's also because I thought Blake Corum, like the early career at Michigan version of Blake Corum. Where are we ever going to see that ever again? Because you didn't see it in his final year in Michigan. You didn't see it in his rookie season. This year, he's back to being the early pre-injury version of Blake Corum, and he's a strong flex play this week with the Rams wanting to keep Kyren Williams more fresh and limit his volume to a certain extent. Like, dude, since week 7, Blake Corum has averaged 10 carries and 44 rushing yards. I know that doesn't sound like a ton, but he popped off for over 80 last week. He has touchdown equity in this offense since week 7 as well. Blake Corum has 12 red zone carries. So you're telling me if Blake Corum goes out there and say he rushes for 50 yards and he scores, he does anything in the passing game, so you're looking at like 12 points. You won't take 12 points in a PPR format, or even in a half point format. You won't take 12 points. That's probably better than most wide receiver threes score on a week. And in PPR formats, what if the Rams blow out the Cardinals and then Corum gets the work to salt away the clock late? If that's the case as well, we're talking about Blake Corum could be an RB2 this week, and the matchup is fantastic. Like, again, I talked about his efficiency is back. This dude is top 12 in explosive run rate and missed tackle rate. Wow. And the Cardinals can't stop anybody on the freaking ground, man. Like, since week 9, they're giving up the 8th most rushing yards per game, the 2nd highest missed tackle rate, and the 8th highest explosive run rate. So we're discussing a player that could live in the 10 to 15 touch range this week. He's efficient. He's playing a run defense that has given up efficiency to running backs. And he has touchdown equity in the offense that he is in. Why not, man? Why are we not talking about Blake Corum as a strong flex play this week?
Well, and to your point as well, the Arizona Cardinals, they have allowed tied for the most touchdowns to opposing running backs over the past month, 7 as a whole, 5 of those on the ground, 2 through the air. So different ways that running backs are finding pay dirt against Arizona. And honestly, I loved Blake Corum as a prospect, and a lot of that was because of his pre-final year, right? You kind of pointed out the injuries zapped him a little bit, and we didn't really see that efficiency last year in this Sean McVay offense. And I was a guy, I can remember right where I was sitting on a bar, or at a bar on the Dewey Shore there out in Delaware, getting ready for a NASCAR race the next day when Blake Corum was drafted. And I was just so excited about this fit. I was all over Blake Corum a year ago in redrafts. It didn't work out. Spent a lot of 9th, 10th round picks on him. But now he is starting to carve out a little bit of a role. And we did talk to Deepak Chona, Dr. Deepak Chona, that is, on the Sunday night recap show, Derek. And he is expecting that this will linger as an injury and something that the Rams will likely take precautions as and split this backfield up more. So I don't think it's a 50-50 share, but could Blake Corum see 40% of the touches? I think so.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And yeah, I think Kyron's, like, his ankle injury is real and stuff like that. And we'll talk about Blake Corum's already been like eating into the volume for Kyron to a certain extent. Could we see that even more this week with Kyron not 100% no matter what the Rams say? Yeah, absolutely. And especially the game script also probably favors him as well. It's just the way that I'll look at Blake Corum, I look at him as being an upgraded version of the same reasons that people want to flex Tyler Algier in a lot of weeks. Same player, same play.
Okay. All right. And before we get to the wide receiver sleeper starts, a real quick reminder that you can dominate your fantasy football league with Fantasy Pros Premium today. Now available for free for 6 months when you deposit and place your first wager at any of our partner sportsbooks. Yes, including Hard Rock Bet, baby. This is the easiest way to get full access to our top fantasy football tools all season long. Just go to fantasypros.com/premium to get yourself started. And Derek, you're going back to this Texans-Kansas City game in the wide receiver department to start us off.
All right, man. So if we're talking about I'm high on CJ Stroud, then somebody's got to perform in the passing game, right? Like, I could have given you a rant about Dalton Schultz. I feel like that's too low-hanging fruit. We're going with Jayden Higgins, dude. And this comes down to, maybe people think that's low-hanging fruit too, because since week 10, Seth, I don't think a lot of people would tell you out there since week 10, they know that Jayden Higgins has been the wide receiver 24 in fantasy points per game. He has 2 top 24 weekly finishes. Since week 10, he's had an 18.5% target share. He's getting a lot of high leverage usage in this passing game. In the last 4 games, Jayden Higgins has 4 red zone targets and 5 deep targets. Why do we care? Because those high cholesterol targets are what score fantasy points. You score touchdowns, you get big plays, you score fantasy points. And the KC has been giving it up to perimeter wide receivers. Since week 9, They're allowing the 5th most PPR points per target, 2 perimeter wide receivers. The coverage matchup is good. It is just checking boxes for Jayden Higgins on the weekly, dude. So yes, people need to flex him. They need to play him. They need to play him over a lot of other kind of middling wide receiver options, man. Like, I'm down with playing Jayden Higgins over. I honestly would play him this week over my guy, Alec Pierce, because the coverage matchup isn't great for him. I think there's a conversation to be had of playing him over Brian Thomas Jr., Roma Dunze, Chris Godwin. If you wanted to go back to the Romeo Dobbs Xavier Worthy, like there's a lot of guys in that phylum of QJ where I'm like, yeah, I'm playing Jayden Higgins.
Yeah, over the past month, he has ran the most snaps for this team in Houston. And as you mentioned, it is those like high leverage targets, right? They're not just dink and dunk passes. They're over the middle. They're deep shots down the field. And in the red zone, it feels a lot. Even last week, although he didn't find the end zone in that game, it felt like they were looking for him, right? I remember multiple targets down inside the 20 where C.J. Stroud was looking for him in that game. And this is one against Kansas City. Like, in my mind, they're going to have to probably shoot out, right? Or at least have to score some points here to beat Kansas City, because that's how KC's kind of been playing lately. You know, there is always the, proposition that I made earlier in the show that maybe Houston's defense is so good it locks them down, but I think Patrick Mahomes has something to say about that. I don't know if CJ Stroud's ever beat Mahomes head-to-head either, so kind of a fun rivalry going with the GOAT of the NFL today and one of the promising quarterbacks who he's looked okay, right? CJ Stroud's looked okay since he's been back. I still, like what Davis Mills did a little bit better, but CJ Stroud's been fine. Do you like Higgins rest of season as well? Is he someone that you think could also go out there against Arizona, Las Vegas, and the Chargers to round it out?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, I think he's a wide receiver 3 moving forward. And if you were to tell me, because the big limiting factor for Jayden Higgins has been the route share. He's been stuck in this like 60 to 65% route share. Dude, if they were to just bump him up to like an 80% route share, he would be borderline like wide receiver 2 material. And I know people think that's crazy, but he's been crushing it every single week on a per route basis. I think he would be borderline wide receiver 2 territory if he had the 80% route share.
Okay, and Derek, you also have another wide receiver. This one feeling a little stinky over there along the shores of Lake Erie.
Yeah, I know that people are going to have to, this is kind of a trust the process kind of thing. This is one of those where you're playing the matchup, you're looking at this, and I know it's not going to feel great about it, but Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 45 and ECR, he is an intriguing flex play, and if you need ceiling this week, and I know we haven't seen that because Jerry Jeudy since week 12 with Shedeur Sanders, he's gotten a 15% target share, he's only averaged 32 receiving yards, but what I'm going to point out here is Shedeur has been throwing the ball down the field. He has the 8th highest deep ball rate in his last 2 starts. And the reason this all matters and why I think you can get ceiling out of Jerry Jeudy this week is he has owned the deep passing role in the Cleveland Browns passing attack. Over the last 2 weeks, he's gotten 3 deep targets. Now, you match that up with a Tennessee secondary that has struggled against perimeter wide receivers, and they've struggled to defend deep passing. Like, since week 9, Tennessee has given up the 3rd highest deep ball completion rate and the 2nd most deep passing yards per game. So is this more sketchy? Can it burn you? Yeah, it could. Also, is Jerry Jeudy somebody that you could pick up off the waiver wire? And dude, if he gets like 70 and a touchdown, 60 and a touchdown, you are feeling pretty freaking good about that in PPR formats or half point formats, and you'll take that from a flex play.
If I'm being honest, I actually kind of like the Browns this week from a betting standpoint as well, Derek.
Oh, same.
I'm on their team total over 19.5 points against the Titans. Right now, we're coming into place where Cam Ward is just under duress all the time, right? I mean, he has been sacked more than any other quarterback in the NFL. Sack King Myles Garrett going to be across from him. I think there's going to be some short fields for Cleveland. Tennessee has also allowed teams to get over 20 points in 11 of 12 games this season. And also, like, they haven't been a bad matchup for opposing quarterbacks. I know we're talking about the receivers specifically. They have not intercepted a quarterback in the last 4 weeks, Derek. And even if there is some weather up there along the shores of Lake Erie, I'm going to take Shedeur Sanders, a guy who played in Boulder, Colorado, right? Like, this isn't new to him.
Oh, yeah.
He can play in the cold. And also, Derek, the 2 times that the Browns were favored in games this year, do you want to guess how many points they've scored?
Oh, geez. 25, I'll say off the top of my head.
27 against the Jets, 31 against Miami. They're 2-0 ATS in those games. So whenever they're favored, they're usually favored for a reason, right? So I'm right there with you. I like the Browns as a whole. Hopefully, it can translate to some production to Jerry Jeudy as well from the likes of Shedeur Sanders. And D-Bro, let's go ahead and get out of here with your tight end sleeper start of the week.
I'm saying he's a sleeper because I don't understand why the hell he's being ranked where he's ranked, but he's tight end 16, so he makes the cut here.
Wow.
Dallas Goedert, dude, is tight end 16 in ECR this week. I don't understand it, but I'll take advantage of it, dude. Tight end 10 in fantasy points per game. This all comes back to it's a coverage matchup thing. It's his role in the offense. He has a high red zone role in this offense, touchdown equity for days. But since week 6, the Bolts have used too high at the second highest rate in the NFL. Against too high, Dallas Goedert's numbers have all gone up, Seth. He has an 18.6% target share, a 21.1% first read share. And the Chargers, on paper, you would think they're a tough matchup at first glance. But the problem is that, like, yeah, sure, they're giving up the 6th fewest receiving yards per game to tight ends. But that's wonky because they face the 4th fewest tight end targets per game. If you look at the deeper metrics, they've given up the 12th highest yards per reception to tight ends and the 8th most receiving touchdowns per game to the position. So it's like, you would say, oh, well, fantasy points per game, but you can't score fantasy points if that position is not getting targeted by their opponents. When they have been targeted, tight ends are producing handedly versus this pass defense. So yeah, everything points to Dallas Goedert, and he shouldn't be labeled or ranked as a tight end 2 this week. He will be a top 12 option for me. And if he's out there, if somebody dropped him, or if you're in a shallow league and you're like, I don't know who to play, Dallas Goedert, baby. Get him into a lineup.
I don't hate it. And I think the reason he is ranked so low is one, just like you said, on the surface, it appears that the Chargers have been tougher against tight ends. And I just think it's also because like people got really high on Dallas Goedert at the beginning of the season, right? 5 straight games of double-digit PPR points to open things up. And it's kind of just been a slog since the Eagles' Week 9 bye, right? Outside of the top 12 tight ends in all those games. But if there was a performance and a spot for him to maybe bounce back, could it be here? We'll see. And I'm excited to see if the Eagles have figured anything out since just a destructive Black Friday performance a week ago. Derek Brown, thank you so much for your time today. Great analysis as always, my friends. That is going to do it for us on this episode of the Fantasy Pros of Fantasy Football Podcast. Comment down below your favorite Week 14 sleeper starts. We want to hear from you. And let us know, did you get your Christmas lights up yet? Are you going to have your Christmas lights up? What's going on with that? Make sure you're also subscribing if you're new. We really appreciate all you guys so much. For Derek Brown, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all. Thank you.